Washington, ghost-like objects dart across the radar screen at the CAA Traffic Control Center at National Airport for several hours, traveling more than 100 miles an hour. Air Force jet fighters spend several hours chasing the objects plotted on the radar scope.
Something else is out there.
There's something else out there, okay.
Of all the banks and braes of bonny Scotland, none holds more fascination than the murky waters of Loch Ness.
Tell me, do you think there is life on other planets?
Well, I'm not quite sure, but I suppose there would be.
No, he seems definite. You seem
Definitely.
definite. How do you see this life and where?
Oh, I've seen a flying saucer.
Blackwater Media presents Darkfall. Real-life encounters with the paranormal and the unexplained. Back around 20 years ago, I was visiting my great uncle in the region around Fredericksburg, Texas. At the time, he was living in his first house in the area before he moved into a retirement community near a small set of trees. The trees were really beautiful, as it was in the hill country. I was staying with him and my great aunt for about a week when we went out for an evening to walk his dog, as we tended to do in the evenings in general. The walk was largely uneventful as the sun set, just a normal evening complete with the call of doves and other wildlife, and the dog was just having a wonderful time. Then, suddenly, all the wildlife went instantly silent, and both of us froze, as did the dog. I remember a feeling of distinct unease and fear growing in me, and I couldn't explain why. And the dog was looking directly in a specific area near a streetlight. I trained my eyes in that direction. I was shocked to see a creature loping through there. It was the beginning of an absolute surreal experience. The thing was something I first took to be a large dog, but it took only a split second to realize that this creature was far, far too large. Running on four legs, this thing was easily 4 feet at the shoulder and moved with a kind of motion that I'd never seen before. It looked hypnotic in a sense, and I was more terrified than I'd ever been with anything else I'd ever seen. I can't stress enough the true feelings of dread and horror that swept over me. And it was a visceral fear, as if we'd been thrust into some dark corner of H.P. Lovecraft's imagination. Now let me tell you something. Whatever this goddamn thing was, it looked like the biggest German Shepherd ever born times 5. And I couldn't help but notice its eyes too. They were fucking huge. And aside from having a weird orange amber tint to them, they seemed to project an intent of total malice. The thing was powerfully built too. The upper limbs in particular were very well developed and easily seen beneath the dark fur. And again, the fear. Like I said before, it was a feeling as if I was being forced to experience every nightmare that I'd ever had. And then it got worse. The creature slowed its pace slightly and then came to a complete stop. It looked to the right and seemed to sniff the air. Then it raised itself up and stood on 2 legs. That's right. This gigantic monster wolf death machine stood up on 2 legs and darted off at a speed I can't even begin to describe, and it disappeared into the darkness. Now, like I said, at the time, I had no idea what this thing really was. But since then, I've learned that it was known as a dogman. I've read online that a few skeptics say that something like a dogman can exist because the anatomy of a bipedal canine just doesn't work. Pure asinine bullshit. Zoology 101 class logic just doesn't apply here. Save that for Animal Planet. These creatures exist. I have no idea what they really are, where they come from, what their place is in the big scheme of things, or anything else for that matter. but I can tell you one thing for damn sure. It would be better for you to accept the reality of these things based on the encounters that you've heard or read about than for you to learn of the horror the way I did. You see, this creature, in just the span of a few minutes, was able to instill within me the bleakest, darkest landscape of terror. Within this monster, I discovered all the elements of fear.